We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House.
And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah, I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
Hello, Patriots. Today, I'm going to bring you another must-see analysis. We're going to dive into great detail about the speech of White House Press Secretary Trump, Carolina Leavitt. Stop everything you're doing and come with me. Please pay attention. Carefully notice that the DeVille LEDs are currently experiencing a severe panic attack.
Yesterday, the new White House Press Secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, gave her very first press conference where she announced that they're adding extra seats to the briefing room. Take a look.
It's essential to our team that we share President Trump's message everywhere and adapt this White House to the new media landscape in 2025. This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. This seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
She basically said that they were going to give unqualified
God, how boring.
unqualified people.
I have a question, which is why I was leading us in this direction.
Yeah.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it, and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a person's world. So please stop using that phrase and talking about, because you don't understand what you're saying. You're saying about yourself that, you know, hey, that's a terrible thing to be. It's not a terrible thing to be. That's why we fought. That's what we were fighting for, so that you could stand in that podium, so that Catherine Jean-Pierre could stand at that podium. So women of all kinds of colors and ilks, wherever they came from, whatever their belief system was, they had the opportunity to bust down that.
Look at this historic moment, Patriots, because we finally have an administration that understands the power of alternative media, and with that, the mainstream media has indeed lost its narrative monopoly. And this is indeed the first time we see such a radical change in how the White House communicates with the American people. This is real democracy in action. Now, just get ready for the real revolution. Let's get started. In the meantime, check out the insane comments from the DeVille LEDs who are about to have a panic attack. Check it out.
And by the way, I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Whatever I'm saying, this is the first time that she's been she may be. But my point is that job would not maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just wanted
us.
to clarify that.
Yeah.
But on the issue of the new media, because I actually think this is kind of brilliant, and I think future Democratic White Houses should do the same thing. We're realizing this election, how people consume media has drastically changed. This was the Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, Alex Cooper election. It wasn't mainstream old school media that was driving people's interest in what they were following and the stories they were. And I think this is an acknowledgement that Trump realizes this. This is a person who made his career in television.
What's to prevent those media influences from being only on his side?
Well, there will be partisans, but I think it was promising that they brought in Axios, which is mainstream, but then they brought in Breitbart, which is a right-wing outlet. And so some of the outlets that had their passes revoked when Biden came in were right-of-center outlets. I don't have a problem with partisan outlets being there as long as it's representative of both sides and you have non-biased traditional media there as well, and that it's fact-driven how they cover it.
The problem that I have with it, though, is, she's saying that these people that are going to apply will meet their criteria. We understand that their criteria is woefully deficient and unserious. Right. I think that their real problem in this election, one of the real problems among the many, is the misinformation and disinformation that was disseminated on social media by these influencers and by these podcasters. Why are they qualified to sit in the White House briefing room and tell America what is going on with the country? Traditionally, to become a White House correspondent or to be in that briefing room, you had to have a journalism degree. Yeah. You had to have qualifications. Yeah. So I guess the rise of mediocrity is here to stay.
They're making a Snapchat equivalent to the New York Times.
No, but you guys are minimizing something really important here. There was a time where there were 3 evening broadcasts for news. Yes. Everyone sat down around the TV and they watched these 3 news outlets. Mm-hmm. Now you look at where people consume news. 54% of American adults say they get news from social media. A large majority of U.S. adults, 86% say they get at least some of their information. If you don't want mis and disinformation, which is inevitable, obviously, with this administration, but if you want to go directly to the source and have people receive it themselves and put it out to their audiences, I'd rather have them in that room. Influencers are not just the Kardashians. They're also the Brene Browns. Mm-hmm. You've got podcasts like Pod Saves America. There are people that only consume their news from
This is a masterful move by the Trump administration. In the meantime, the media keeps constantly insisting on its leftist biases. The White House is really making room for independent voices. Independents who truly represent the American people. And it's the end of the monopoly of large media corporations that have been manipulating narratives for decades. Now, indeed, we will have a true diversity of thoughts. Next, see more of the reaction from the liberal elite. It's unfortunate.
They show up.
And I do think that there are a lot of Americans who do feel like the mainstream media got a lot wrong in recent years. And while there are editorial standards, I don't think that we can definitively say, because you have this degree and you're with this outlet, you've never gotten news information wrong.
Well, I will say this. I feel a lot better when I know there are standards people have to meet.
Yeah, of course.
And so
qualifications
you can bring in whoever you want. The proof will be in the pudding. Mm-hmm. We can stand and say, this is terrible, but so we're going to wait and see what happens. And the minute it turns out to be state-run television or state-run information or state-run news, because, I disagree that people got stuff wrong. I don't know what people were looking for, because the people I talked to were not looking for the things that these folks were looking for. And now that they've got him, are they getting what they want? So that's just my opinion.
But even on the media front, we haven't gotten to this real quickly this week. The CIA came out and said that COVID very likely came from a lab leak. And the New York Times shut down coverage of that. They wouldn't publish an op-ed by a senator from Arkansas, Tom Cotton, saying that this was a credentialed theory. At the time I was at DOD and that was openly discussed, is a very real possibility.
Confidence by the CIA.
There is a fact that the media at times has gotten things wrong.
Listen,
so
it isn't about whether they get it wrong or right. It's what they do to correct it. That's the problem.
That does matter. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want.
But it also matters that the CIA said that it was a low confidence report, and that is why the New York Times, which has standards, didn't report on it.
But withholding the information altogether purely and saying that it's not even a considered theory was what the mistake was.
The mistake really is there's too much BS floating out there, and now it's out of our hands. There's no way to control it. So now they're saying they're going to control it. I want to see what they're going to do. I want to see who they're going to invite into this. Because quite honestly, I like when we're held to standards. I don't always like the way they do it, but we have to have ourselves together. We can't just say stuff in spite of what they tell you. We can't just spout stuff. So I want that for everybody. And if they're going to guarantee that they're at the briefing, then I'll be happy.
And this is the typical leftist narrative and victimization of talking about woke, instead of celebrating the merit and competence of an independent and intelligent woman like Carolina Levitt. What they really want is to reduce politics and identity. The truth is, one, America is tired of this obsession with woke culture. People simply want results, not ideology. And Carolina Levitt earned her position not through ideology, but through merit. Pay attention, patriots, because what we are indeed witnessing is truly historic. The White House is really breaking the chains of traditional media. And this is the true democratization of information that we've been waiting for decades. And if you're also tired of the manipulation from the liberal media and this woke culture, give us a like and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on everything. And please share this video with all the patriots you know, because together we will make the truth prevail. And may God bless America. See you in the next video.